wanna stay the night here. I know you wanna scream my name. Don't wanna miss a single word you say. I never wanna take my eyes off of you. I just can't stand it when you take your thighs off of me. Can't understand it when you go away. But at the end of the day, I'll do whatever you say. Whatever, baby. I'll kiss your back before you drift off. Wrap you up nice and cozy. We won't set an alarm. Can't take my hands off you. You're too soft. Let's lay here through the daylight. You know I wanna scream your name. Don't wanna miss a single word you say. I never wanna take my eyes off of you. I just can't stand it when you take your thighs off of me. Can't understand it when you go away. But at the end of the day, I'll do whatever you say. Whatever, baby.
Lesbians are not women.
We were in the back seat of a friend's car on our way to lunch. I didn't really know her, just that she was the secretary in the admissions office at the college where I taught. And her name was Madeline.
I was a fucking lesbian. Not the insult hurled on the street. Hey, you fucking lesbian. It was what I called myself. A joke. Because I had a boyfriend that I was sleeping with. But I considered myself a lesbian.
It's important that you know the back seat was cramped, but no parts of my body were touching any of hers. Also, I did not yet realize I was a lesbian. Oh, I had stirrings of desire for women throughout my high school and college years, but I was still a virgin, even where men were concerned. I was 26 years old.
It was 1979. I was fully committed to women. I worked at the Women's Building, I taught women, I lived with women. My every waking moment was about women. But I was fucking a man. So I called myself a fucking lesbian. Controversial. The Women's Building was largely run by lesbians, and they were the real women. Having sex with a man was considered a waste, giving one's energy away to the enemy.
The two women in the front seat were yammering away about something. I tuned out and found myself staring at Madeline's short summer skirt. It had hiked up just enough to expose creamy thighs, and from there my gaze traveled to her dimpled knees and down her legs, her very long legs. Madeline's legs ended in white kitten heel shoes. They were a little scuffed and worn down, but somehow they seemed happy to be on her feet. And I felt happy looking at them. I found myself wondering about her toes. Plump and round, long and thin. Did they have nail polish? Did I foot fetish?
Today I don't see men as the enemy, and I'm not sure I really did then. But men back then were not very woke. I spent countless hours explaining to them how they could be feminists too. It was a lot of giving my energy away. It all ended when my boyfriend said we needed to break up. Why, I asked. Because he said, it's obvious. You're a lesbian.
Madeline said something to the driver, and I pulled my gaze up to her face. With her long auburn hair pulled back into a serviceable yet saucy ponytail, everything in her profile was on display. An arched light brown eyebrow, silky chocolate eyelashes around a wide-eyed almond to a tip, a perky nose, and generous raspberry lips that curved in a slight smile as if tasting something delicious. But it was Madeline's ear that made my heart lurch. The gentle shell of its outer curve rolled down into a lobe like a satiny pillow.
And who were these women that were not women, the lesbians? Some were dykey, short hair, strong, confident. Some were fat and not apologetic about it. I found that to be very attractive. Some were curvy with big curls, breasts undulating under bib overalls, feet firm on the ground in Dr. Scholl's or work boots, the leather scarred from farm work or construction, bell bottoms hugging muscular thighs, nipples hard under flannel shirts. These women who were not women smelled like soap and patchouli oil, the scent of pussy on fingers. Some smelled like grease from straddling their rides at the Dykes on Bikes parade.
At that moment, the car made a sharp turn, and I seized the opportunity to slide in for a closer examination of Madeline's magnificent ear. The broad inner curve was smoother and pinker, like a virginal peach. It sloped gently inward to a dark round hole, the opening of the sacred middle ear. Oh, to be a lustily adventurous Q-tip. Like Alice, I had fallen down the rabbit hole. All thoughts of a foot fetish vanished. I was ready to insert my tongue into that hole.
I'm all lesbian now, a woman who is not a woman, who pauses before entering the restroom because the lady in the dress on the door is unfamiliar.
Shocked, I pulled away, afraid that Madeline might turn and see my forbidden lust smeared all over my face. And that's just what happened. She turned to me, broke out in a dazzling smile, and said, "What's that song?" Apparently, on top of everything else, I had been humming loudly. "Oh, nothing, honestly, I don't know, Madeline. It is Madeline, isn't it?" I was hopeless. At that moment, the car squealed to a stop. I jumped out and said something over my shoulder about needing the restroom badly and raced for the restaurant, my heart pounding. I flew into the restroom and lurched into one of the stalls where I stood, shaking, trying to regain control. If Madeline had come into the restroom behind me, I might have thrown open the stall door, wrapped my arms around her, and whispered into that mesmerizing ear that I wanted her desperately. My life would have changed, but she didn't come in, and I eventually calmed down. It would be years before I allowed myself to feel anything like I had when I worshipped Madeline's ear.
We find our place eventually and become who we are.
Who we are.
I picked up the lipstick from my mother's dressing table. Revlon, red. I pull off the top and smell a sweet fragrance. I twist the bottom. It's slowly rising, and the rounded scarlet stub emerges from its hiding place.
I love staying at my grandmother's house. The Columbia County garage is nearby. My obsession with trucks and tractors compels me to run there, while my grandmother makes my favorite lunch, a bologna sandwich on white bread with mayo and a side of Wise potato chips. And behind the garage is a large dirt pile. Grunting melodramatically, I scale this Himalayan mountain and roll down. Hopping onto a bulldozer, I am a king, plowing through the town.
I had just come home from school, and the house was empty. Mom was a brownie leader, so she was with my younger sister at a meeting. Dad wouldn't be home for hours. I had snuck into my parents' bedroom before and played with the makeup on my mother's dressing table, but never had the chance to actually put it on.
I run back to my grandmother's house, sweaty and dirty, and I sit on the porch dumping the dirt from my sneakers before I enter the house. After lunch, I quietly excuse myself to prepare for the 2 p.m. episode of Bewitched.
In my fantasies, I was the damsel in distress, the heroine rescued by the dashing hero at the last minute. I was Maureen O'Hara in The Spanish Maid, a ravishingly beautiful noblewoman captured by pirates led by the handsome Paul Henri. Save me, Paul, I would whisper.
Retreating to my grandmother's bedroom, I turn on the Zenith television and I slip into her white high heels. I place a towel over my head to recreate Samantha's blonde locks. I grab a broom from the closet and apply a thin layer of lipstick. Side saddle upon the broom, I wait for the theme song to begin. Just an hour ago, I was a rambunctious boy with a new Tonka truck. But at 2 p.m., I become Elizabeth Montgomery. And Darren is my husband, the Dick York Darren.
When I was 6 and 7, I loved to create plays with kids in our Garden City, New York neighborhood. We'd stage them in my garage, complete with costumes and props. My favorite, Hansel and Gretel, and I made an enchanting Gretel. After that play, my father took me aside and told me that girls should play girls and boys should play boys. He was gentle about it, but the point was made. I took his advice, but in my heart, I still wanted to get into that frilly white skirt and go skipping with my Hansel into the woods in search of the gingerbread.
My cousin Donnie snickers as he peeks through the door.
What are you doing?
I never heard him arrive. My face turns a burning hot pink, but in the deepest recesses of my 5-year-old gut, this feels true and right. I look over my shoulder and flip the towel from my eye, as if a long lock of hair has fallen, and I breathily say, I wish. And wrinkle my nose before I turn back to the television.
I lean towards the mirror, purse my lips, and apply the lipstick. Lower lip first, then upper. I quickly take a tissue and blot, just as I had seen countless women do in countless movies. I open the compact, and with the powder puff applied soft pancake, I look at myself in the mirror. I am fabulous. Fast forward 20 years. I was going to be the surprise guest at the La Caja Fall Christmas party. The 10-year-old had grown into the 33-year-old stage manager of a show in which men transformed themselves nightly from hunky chorus boys to sexy cowgirls. While the cast and crew began the festivities, Teddy Azar, a makeup designer extraordinaire, was transforming stage manager Jim Watt into the delicious, sexy, and vibrant wife of Santa Claus, Mrs. Carmen Claus. Ruby red lipstick was the final touch. He placed a magnificent beehive wig on my head and turned the chair around so I could see myself in the mirror. My dad could see me now. Little Gretel was a Broadway star. I'm a pretty girl, Papa.
Tom knew Stan since first grade. They met on the playground at St. Beatrice School in Schiller Park when they both were late to recess one autumn day. Stan because it was his first day of school, and Tom because he had to forego the first part of recess and write on the blackboard 10 times, "I will not talk in class." Having just learned to write, it took him all of 15 minutes to complete the task. On the day they met, Tom watched from across the playground as Stan's mother briskly turned to their teacher and said something very animated, then walked quickly back to the curb and disappeared into her big black Cadillac. The little girl left behind by her mother stood still, looking straight ahead. Even from a distance, Tom could see her huge white eyes brimming with tears. One quick blink, and her little red cheeks were glistening. Tom's heart broke for her. Why? You don't even know her, he asked himself. He approached cautiously so as not to frighten her. Their eyes never strayed from each other as he made his way across the playground, through obstacles of children, swing sets, and jump ropes. He could see her features, curly blonde hair, red cheeks, svelte body, all dressed in blue and green plaid pleated skirt, white gloves, green cardigan sweater, and black and white saddle. she watched Tom approach. She blinked again, sending a small trickle of tears that made it only partway down her cheeks before they dried and disappeared. When he was about 3 feet from her, their eyes still locked, she said, "You know, don't you?" "Know what?" "About me. Some people can tell just by looking in my eyes." She spoke with an ageless confidence. "Really? What is that?" "I'm not really here. My name is Amanda, at least for now anyway." "What do you mean?" Maybe you don't know. That you don't like your name?" She held him there as her brown eyes shot deep into his, speaking so much without words. The story she told, as their eyes locked together, was beyond comprehension for the 6-year-old Tom. Yet somehow he understood. He saw a young man with the same curly blonde hair, except that the lips and eyes were decidedly masculine. The stance and mannerisms, too, were all boy. "Amanda is my name. Now, you can help me decide on a new name if you'd like, but Amanda just won't do anymore."
Become who we are.
Soon after I'd finally come out, my new lesbian friend Kathy called me a soft butch. I wasn't sure how I felt about that, so I asked her what the other categories were. I only knew 2, butch and femme. She said there was something called a stone butch, popularized in the 50s and 60s. But not used much now. There was Little Dyke, which was kind of the same thing, but some found it very derogatory. As for femmes, there was lipstick lesbian, which is pretty much a synonym.
You know, Jen, I used to think that women only wanted to sleep with me because they thought I could fuck like a man. You know, like a massive, sweaty, hairy, macho, football-loving dude. The opposite of me, actually. I mean, I thought that it flirted with me for a while, and it even began to fill the soft creases in my body with cement. I would catch myself staring waitresses in the eye for way longer than expected, and I was slipping into physical habits that I just didn't understand.
I considered the options. I wasn't sure how I felt about soft butch, but I knew I wasn't any other kind of butch. I didn't have a crew cut, didn't ride a motorcycle, didn't wear men's underwear. I owned no work boots, no dogs, hated hiking, and hadn't worn a plaid flannel shirt since I was 7. Was I then a femme? I did shave my legs and arms. I wore skirts from time to time, and mascara and lipstick. I had long hair. But if I were a femme, I should be attracted to butches, right? And I'm not. I admire their convictions, their fearlessness in society, their physical prowess, but all those sports, white butter rafting, kayaking, nice. And the thought of a strap-on is just...
I began to relate my identity, my tendencies, my personality to the red bin in front of CVS. Chapstick, she mumbled one day, as her fingers made circles at the bottom of the basket. The movement of her inquiring mind had just sent me staggering. I wanted so desperately to be peeled back the way she clicked her nails against the side of that red cylinder. I wanted to be as smooth against her lips. I wanted to be good for her. Chapstick, I thought. I want to be that.
Who am I attracted to? The Kate Winslets, the Sandra Bullocks. Pretty women with fragrant soft skin and curves and long hair. Women who are shorter than me. Women with painted fingernails and toes. Maybe a tasteful tattoo. Possibly a cat.
Finally, a word to call my broad shoulders. My jawline that never needs contour for drag. My stubby nails, my thick eyebrows. And my cage had been unhinged. And I was something cherry-scented and painless. She could tumble me around between her fingers all day long, a match I'd been awaiting submissively for a
years ago, I met someone. She has no cat, no tat, no painted nails, and wears actually no makeup at all, except for lipstick. But she doesn't need any. She's beautiful and soft and sweet, with a fragrant cloud of long black hair, and she's even a few inches shorter than me. Oh, it's clear as a bell now that Kathy was right, and I am the luckiest soft butch in the world.
I think back on my life before chapstick. I mean, who even was I? You know, someone called Lydia and Jessica, and even Megan from middle school. Yeah, tell them I get it now. Yeah, what they meant all those years ago, that I'm chapstick. Yeah, tell them I love it. Yeah, I can't believe they didn't tell me sooner. And tell them I'm not a man. Just don't tell them I'm not sure what it means. Just not sure of my singularity or why she ignited 1,000 fires in my chest. Don't tell them that I've only ever known myself by tallying the currency of their comparisons until this very moment. Tell them I feel better now. Yeah. Just don't tell them I'm not sure what to make of it all.
One is not born, but rather becomes a woman.
A woman taught me there is danger in resistance. There is protection in a lie. There are shadows in my windows. There are fault lines in my heart.
The woman on the screen, the ever-changing, ageless, infinite face through the images raw, fertile, scary, and friendly. Close, then far away, the eyes continue to haunt. These eyes ask her, "What are you doing?" Unready to speak, she closes her own eyes, thinking to create a void, a clean slate. Able to start blank, she can let go of these multiple histories and geographies going through each face. It was too much to manage. So she opened her eyes to land on just one for now. Ultimately, the girl realized she was bored with seeing the reflection of herself only. And what activated her juices was feeling herself in what or who appeared to be different.
I don't recall looking at other women thinking, I want to be you, but I'm porous enough that others have become me, seeping in and lingering.
Well, the girl started channeling. Near nude showgirl costumes, a man's sports jacket with high heels and a tie. Oscars, crystals around the neck, replacing returned crosses. In the mix of Nina Simone, Peebo Bryson, Celia Cruz, and Tupac. Few know she loves attempting to sing the Italian arias. Il me viendra un jour, mon seul amour. It sings well in her voice, though for her, the ever-present woman remains. The musings of Zora, Alice, Octavia, and Carlos Castaneda, that is, gave her further license to create realities that worked, sometimes.
A woman taught me there is anger in conforming. There is reason in the fight. There are questions to be answered. There is hope no one can see. A woman taught me never look away from sadness, always measure each embrace. Sometimes caution is romantic. Once in a while, you have to leave.
Well, the girl learned the male game from her four brothers, daddy, and her mama too. She defended them, covered for them, helped raise a couple of them. Her brother Lenny taught her how to tell on men when necessary because he practiced bullying. She was not having it. Her mother taught her that. Loving them doesn't mean they can't harm you.
A woman taught me to be thankful for confusion, to be softer than a fool, to allow myself each victory, to account for every loss. A woman taught me I can learn from patent nonsense. I can lose myself in touch. I can change the course of countries. I can idle in my bed. A woman taught me I am empty if I choose to be. I am wisdom when I least expect it. I am velvet and velour some days. I am lost in this whole world.
Though she looked forward to playing with her girl cousins and friends, felt kind of like other. Her cuteness and newness meant accommodating and adapting, which she learned while around her brothers. The outspoken big voice could create jealousy and the appearance of ungratefulness.
A woman taught me to be eager for discovery, to be patient in the dark, to be empty when I think too much, to be a monster when attacked.
Her anger, unfounded, spinning and spinning and spinning through my hours, stalking me to my pillow. Her disappointment, resting in my gut, feeding itself first. Her nothing, her anything, running marathons unseen.
A woman taught me that sex is never destiny, that everything I took for granted is illusion and deceit. A woman taught me that a mind is temporary, that we are not always ourselves, that we forget our motivations, that we all learn to lose our way.
Mama told her, you don't get to say no to your Aunt Rosa, like your brother Danny. You were going with her for a few days. Well, the girl learned the art of being used with certain people on that trip to Sanford, Florida. And there were other lessons.
A woman taught me that there is water in the desert, there are secrets in the spring, there are bodies in the river. There is some point to it all. A woman taught me love.
As a kid, I had a little dog named Shushu, a shaggy black terrier with mud with a white spot on her chin. She was my constant companion. When she died, my parents didn't want another dog. They weren't getting along. My home had become a Cold War zone, boiling anger below the surface, disappointment eating quietly at our hearts. Yet somehow a new dog came into our lives, a funny black terrier mix just like Shushu. Time passed. Mom no longer lived under our roof. She wanted me to move with her, but I was 16 and I decided to stay at the only home I'd ever known with my dad and Lena, our new dog. My dad had named Lena after a girlfriend he had had when he was a teenager living in Greece a really long time ago. That woman on the movie screen, she had her own funny terrier. I always wanted to be her. Those gorgeous liquid brown eyes, those friends who would go to the ends of the earth with her, or at least Emerald City. That hair perfectly curled in two shiny braids. She just wanted to go home. Her magical red ruby slippers dancing on the path to be surrounded with love, her little dog always by her side. That was the magic of the silver screen. The goddess, the dog, the simplicity of home. The truth of our lives, of Judy's and mine, was so far from that. That happy ending on screen. The world might be black and white, the dream might be in color, but you would conquer the lurking evil in the end. Dorothy gave me hope. Dorothy, and her little dog, too.
Maleficent stood over her every morning when she woke up. Arms outstretched, bat-winged cape, horned headdress twisting against the stormy sky. She had arranged the book to the centerfold, perched on top of her girly dressing table. It was the first thing she saw when she opened her eyes. Before she went to sleep, she laid so that she would always wake up in the right position. Her mother looked at her gravely as though there was something wrong with her fascination. She realized that it probably was odd for the evil witch to be her favorite. Her mother would have preferred her to come home praising the fair, sweet, sleeping beauty. Her songs were beautiful and she did end up with a handsome prince. But whenever Maleficent had appeared on the screen, made her feel like she might pee her pants. The clouds would roll, the thorny thickets of dense forest peeled back to make way. Other children screamed, some even cried. But she sat in wonder, transfixed. Maleficent had no pretty songs, but the witch sang to her in a secret part of her mind that she knew somehow could speak of. Looking up and maleficent as the sun rose each day, and the rays of light through the curtains made moving patterns across the picture's gloomy background, she wanted to be like the witch. Not evil, of course, but powerful. If the evil came with the power, she would learn to work that out. She just wanted to make clouds swirl and trees move at her will. She wanted to be the one who didn't go to sleep, the one who would be on watch all the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joan fucking Jett!
Right of the mural, where Jesus looked down, staff in hand, a lamb cradled in his arms. I'd watch him prepare the sacrament, the wafers, perfect full moons, the communal cup. Supplicants processed to the altar, hands folded, heads bowed. Dressed in white vestments and red stole, he dipped the chalice to each mouth, white cloth wiping its golden lip, removing lipstick and drool. The ring was his father's. After he died, they cut it off. He'd say this like a joke, as if the finger itself had been severed. Dad wore it every day. Someday I hoped it would be mine. But he left it to my niece, my minister brother's Christian daughter, who wears it on a chain around her neck. The legacy of the church, her albatross, not mine. The blood-red depths of my sexuality, my sin, like Eve, chalice overflowing, desire that's messy, and it connects me to the earth. At 16, when he found out I was having sex, he hit me. That ring stung, and he was ashamed. I did not want the father's ruby, nor the diamond stolen from the mother's deepest crevices on the backs of exploited workers caked in mud. My jewelry is queer, chosen family, thicker than blood. My lesbian wedding ring, a synthetic jewel, suspended freely between two strong arms of stainless steel. It sparkles as it twirls, its movement expressive, floating in space, tethered but free. My ring, magic.
Miss Goblin wasn't very pretty, but she was smart and had a great toothy smile. I think she wanted to be a professor, not our junior high school teacher. With her wire-framed glasses and her Birkenstocks, actually, you know what? I'm not sure she actually wore Birkenstocks, but if she ever wore sandals, they would definitely have to be Birkenstocks. And not new ones. Oh, definitely a little worn out. Though I guess they would have to be new at some point. Brown suede with a buckle. Sensible. It's what all the hippies used to wear. She assigned Silent Spring by Rachel Carson and warned us decades ago of the pending environmental crisis. I learned how DDT was killing off the peregrine falcon, a beautiful bird of prey, the fastest bird in the world. There were always those boys in the back of the class. They didn't care anything about what she said. They just wanted to smoke pot and find new places to skateboard. And they did it well. They made careers out of it, becoming skateboarding stars and pot-selling kingpins. On page 32, you can see a chart that shows how the poison in DDT increases with each generation that ingests it. And the shells of their eggs become too soft. They can't protect the baby chick inside. I stared at the picture of the unborn baby bird. Tiny beak, eyeballs impossibly big. It was horrifying. Thank you, Miss Godwin.
Gliding into the small classroom with a heavy backpack, I survey the group before I sit. Earlier, in the college cafeteria, my buddy Homer, in a Miller Lite t-shirt, sporting a fresh crew cut, shot me a quizzical look when I told him I had a night class. Sociology? He sniffed. No, goddess. Goddess? What the fuck is that? Undeterred by his judgmental tone, I say, it's a feminism course. Silence. I fling this awkward exchange off low with my backpack as I sit next to a ginger-haired boy whose face resembles a polished apple. There are 15 women seated around a large table and 2 men, including me. Pam Schmansky smiles and introduces herself as our professor.
The head goddess.
We begin the semester by dissecting Bible passages from a feminist perspective and move on to matriarchal societies, omitted from history books. I unlearn oppressive language. At the dinner table, I tell my parents, it's police officer, not policeman. Firefighter, not fireman. Seemingly innocuous words are chains meant to keep women in their place. My mom, my grandmother, my girlfriends. One night, Miss Shemansky instructs us to write a short story. I scribble a tale of a woman, Miss Ruby, who tends to her garden in a conventional suburb. Unlike the others, her garden is lush and vibrant, overflowing with morning glories and roses. Her secret fertilizer? Her own menstrual blood. While the class reads a chapter from The Mist of Avalon, Miss Shemansky silently reads our stories. At one point, a small gasp escapes her lips. And as we prepare to leave class, Miss Shemansky asks,
Can I speak with you, Dave? Did you know that I do that with my own menstrual blood? I've never told anyone.
She places a hand on my shoulder. A sensual wave of warmth and empathy infuses my being, and I feel a connectedness and sense of peace. I know I'm going to be okay. And I'm going to leave this town.
I don't like blood. Whenever I have a blood test, I avert my eyes. It's not the needle, it's blood. I don't like movies where people are blown to bits with blood and brains scattered about. I avoid R-rated films unless it specifically says sexual content and nudity. With that, I'm okay. But no blood. So how does this square with being a Leatherhead?
The canvas stretched, floor to ceiling. Thick, naked thighs, pubic hairs untamed, russet reds dripping, sticky, puddle round her feet. It hung unframed, our inner worlds pushing boundaries without shame. We'd flaunt queerness, hold hands in the street, and devour powerful portions at the women-owned vegetarian restaurant.
I don't get into whipping or single tail or needles or anything that produces blood. I have, however, gone to parties where such activities are part of the play. I watch, but I get squeamish when the whip rips the skin.
At first, murmurs. Then straight couples pushed away plates of seaweed and sprouted lentils. This painting is ruining my appetite. Who hangs a painting like this? But the artist, her arm wrapped lovingly round my young shoulder, unpeels herself, rises to face their temper, refuses to take the canvas down, chanting, personal is political, is personal.
I almost always go to men-on-men play parties. No offense to anyone, but while I'm comfortable about women, around women, straight and gay, with their clothes on, I'm very anxious and self-conscious around naked women, and even more self-conscious around naked women being sexual. Once, however, I did go to a pansexual play party. There were dominant men with their sub-boys and girls, and dominant women with their sub-boys and girls. Now, I'm a big-time voyeur. I love watching people play, and have seen some pretty hardcore stuff, but I wasn't prepared for what I witnessed between those dom women and their male subs.
I never asked her what she meant by prosaic or pernicious, words I'd never heard before. Never dared to reveal my preference for oils or pastels. Anything instead of dry menstrual blood on canvas. I adored her.
The intensity and volume of blood play took me by surprise. The women's comfort with it and total commitment was erotic, yet disturbing. Even knowing it was consensual, I found it hard to watch. Those dom women were so sadistic. The pure delight they took in torturing their male subs' cock and balls. It was like they were getting even for every guy who said, "You don't have the balls to." Yes, again. Most women spend years dealing with the menstrual flow. Is that why they're so comfortable with blood play?
We cultivated a taste for tempeh and protests, life on fire with new ideas. We will not be dismissed.
Truthfully, again, this is a compliment. They scared me.
May we dance in the face of our fears.
You need to hear this. She briskly clipped through the parking lot, full of cars and absent of people. Her notebooks from her clasped tightly to her chest, like a raised drawbridge to a castle. She looked down as she green-lighted towards her car in the university parking lot. The night air and the October moon gave her an unflattering aura to her hair. Our class had just let out, and it had been a stressful night. There was more material than was possible to cover, and the usually organized professor was a little off. During class, I've been placed in a discussion group of fellow students, including a woman who was now walking parallel to me in the parking lot to her distant car. Our group did not get much done. When I spotted the woman from my group, I thought of approaching her in the dark, deserted parking lot, far away from the main campus. But I didn't. I continued without comment to my car, as did she. It was instinct. Well, she had a taser, a mace, a gun. The following week, the Santa Anas had arrived, and men with sweat-stained t-shirts and women in spaghetti-strap dresses populated the campus. In class, I was again partnered with the woman in the parking lot. I mentioned to her that last week, I was going to approach her to discuss the lesson, but I hesitated. She said nothing, but she nodded. I said as gently as I could, if I approached you, I might have scared you.
You would have.
When you're alone, you think about it a lot?
All the time.
That's weird. I don't. Do you carry anything?
Maybe.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you should.
Of course there's another shooting. There's always another shooting. At this point, it's more of a surprise to see a whole month go by without one. I can't remember when I flipped the switch to numbness, but there are only so many ways to process hopelessness. I don't want to be afraid to go to the Trader Joe's on Hyperion or dance at a pride party. On the night of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, I was out with my girlfriend and woke up to tears to her sharing the news. And that could have been us. I lost count of the days of not being able to eat or laugh or move because it wasn't fair that it was them and not me.
We gathered, as we have for almost 2 years. Christian, Jewish, and Muslim women making art, learning one another's traditions and texts. We shared stories over food, as women do, trading the minutiae of personal life, workplace triumphs and frustrations, pictures of family and cats. So, when the news came about bullets tearing into Muslim bodies, the wounded woman on the street calling for help until the murderer shot her dead and drove away over her corpse, the man who greeted a stranger to his mosque with, "Hello, brother," and was answered with gunfire, those who left their prayers to run to help the wounded, those who hearing gunshots continued to pray, ready to die in conversation with the compassionate one. When the enormity of the loss began to be clear, this was no dutiful exercise in thoughts and prayers. This was pain, rage, and sorrow of the body, the heart.
The neighborhood was under siege. Yellow tape cordoned off corners, cop cars angled, standing in as sentries. Helicopter eyed us all.
Our people were preparing to observe our wild carnival holiday, celebrating our narrow escape from genocide. Before Purim, we observed Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of remembrance. We are charged to remember Amalek, the enemy who attacked the Hebrews as they fled Egyptian slavery, attacked from behind the very old and young, the sick and the weak.
Amalek stands for the eternal genocide heir, the Nazi, the crusader, the one who needs to obliterate what's different. Amalek, who had murdered over 50 Muslims at prayer in New Zealand.
Our neighborhood under siege, cops itchy, what with the weight of their guns aimed, shoulders raised and restrained, waiting, aimed. That building, just a few doors down.
We came together the next morning in Koreatown's Islamic Center. Christians, Jews, and Sikhs, Mormons, pagans, and atheists standing with the Muslims of our city and world. Our Jewish mayor spoke to us in Spanish. Clergy offered words of solidarity and prayer. Also, many speakers named our current Amalek said the words, white supremacists, named the tropes of invasion and contagion that now echo from the highest office of art.
Under siege, our neighborhood harbored fugitive, they whispered. Armed and dangerous, they whispered. Dogs acted all regal, patrols, SWAT teams decked out. And there I was, on the fire escape with my across-the-hall neighbor, looking down from this vantage point, waiting, like extras on a movie set. Except this was real. The neighborhood was under siege.
A young hijabi, a member of the neighborhood council where the Islamic Center stands, took the microphone. She charged us to reach out to someone we thought was racist, to meet them with compassion and love, to help them change. This young woman seemed very idealistic to me. She was also, of course, right. But today, I am lost. I cannot feel her teaching in my heart, although my intellect agrees. Today I am locked into a cold fury. I can only hear the command, Zachor, et asher esavach Amalek, et derek b'tzeichem mitzrayim. The Bible says, remember what Amalek did to you on the road out of Egypt. The memory of Amalek shall be blotted out. Do not forget. How to remember to erase a memory. My teachers told me to do that with love. I don't know if I can.
My fellow tenant went to fetch some really good, because white boys only have really good, not that cheap shit. He went to get some really good bourbon. I requested precisely one ice cube. Left alone, I did what everyone does nowadays. I started making a video. The cops, the dogs, the guns, my phone. Stealthily. They must have floated weightless, nary a sound. 2 cops behind me. Guns drawn, me, arms extended with that phone could have been, and really everybody knows what saved me. Otherwise, my phone resembles danger too, doesn't it? Otherwise, my phone resembles too, doesn't it? Just like a gun. I lost it. Otherwise, my phone resembles danger too, doesn't it? Looks just like a gun. Otherwise, a pack of Skittles resembles threat, looks just like a gun. Otherwise, a comb. Otherwise, I could have fucking been shot in the back, point blank. But I wear the privilege. They gave me a moment to sense their breath. I about-faced into a barrel of a chest of a cop laden with armor. Later in my apartment, under siege, neighbor knocks. Got your drink? He calls out through the door. The ice melted.
The door of no return looms, majestic and infinite. Miles of water that gulps and drowns, carries cargo to unknown wherevers. The whip, the piercing metal, or the fleshy, hard, pounding thing, fluid, gushing out as it forces liquids in, creating a toxic cocktail. Jump to the deep unknown, or end up in the swamps, overgrown. Georgia, on my mind, never blended well for me. I see ghosts. Some were dark figures running desperate through southern jungles. Then there were the others, thought to be ghosts, but were not. These were without color, without heart, without conscience, and were given room to feed again. Theirs was a pallor, an energy which carries a stench that has been hovering and traveling this transcontinental journey for centuries.
His words burned into my gut like a branding iron. It was the early days of Essence magazine, which I devoured. This article about reproductive rights featured comments from people on the street. The man said that black women should know better than to join white feminist quest for birth control and the right to choose abortion. We had been enslaved and used as breeders of more slaves. White people had owned the means of our reproduction then, and now they were just trying to trick us into killing black babies to keep the black population down so that we'd never grow large enough to overthrow the power structure. We owed it to our race to be fruitful and multiply. Today I think of my enslaved grandmother, whose family was still partially intact when emancipated. They changed their name to Wilson instead of Wilson because her father didn't want to have no slave name. She lived her dream of marrying and having a farm of her own. She raised 11 boys. Her only daughter died at the age of 12. Most of her sons did well. Her youngest, my father, became a doctor. Her life was full because of her children. Her children, not someone else's. It took a war for her to have them. They were her choice.
Roe v. Wade made abortion legal in 1973. A few years later, I became pregnant. That night, after making love, I lay in bed. The ceiling of my Pasadena loft opened to the vast sky glowing with stars, and I felt the top of my head open and something enter in. Later, when my period didn't come, I went to a women's clinic to take the test. Yes, I was pregnant, the woman said, and would have to make a decision soon. I scheduled an abortion. My feminist artist friends and I were beginning to explore the goddess and doing rituals in my friend Anne's backyard. Where we'd sit, the grass became a bright green ring sprouting with tiny mushrooms. I conceived a ritual to say goodbye to the spirit inside me, to send her back to the ocean of souls. I made a slide of Madonna with a small angel at her side. I placed it in a tiny red lucite box and added a dried rosebud. I apologized to the spirit, asked her forgiveness, and said goodbye, hoping that someday she might come back to me or someone else of her choosing. I buried the little red box in Anne's backyard. The next day I went for the abortion. They tested me again, as was customary, and I sat in the waiting room for a long time. Finally, they called me in. They were baffled. They tested my blood multiple times. One test would say positive and the next would say negative. They weren't sure if I was pregnant or not, and now I had another decision to make. Should I go through with the procedure or go home and wait? Anne and I looked at each other, incredulous. Had the spirit heard my voice and left of her own accord? Hours later, I sat in the toilet and blood flowed out. She was gone. I felt powerful and sad.
I've been through 2 abortions. The first was by mutual decision. The second occurred without my being aware of it until after the fact. I should probably explain here that I was not the one undergoing the procedures. In both cases, I was the one doing the impregnating. I was ostensibly the father, Both pregnancies occurred in the last decade of my living as a male. The first involved my ex-wife. The second, 3 years later, a woman with whom I was having an affair. In both cases, I had inquired about using a condom and was assured it wasn't necessary. All three of us had been tested for HIV and were negative. Nonetheless, after the first pregnancy, one would have thought I would never have made the same mistake again. My lover, as soon as she discovered she was pregnant, opted for an abortion and informed me afterwards. She blamed herself for being careless and said she'd chosen to say none of it. Neither my ex-wife nor I had ever desired children, and my lover was a married woman with a son who had no intention of having another child. I cannot imagine what it was like for either of my pregnant lovers. Theirs was a hazard I will never face. All I could offer was support. As a trans woman, my ability to impregnate them was in some way a slap in the face. My fertility, a complicated burden. I don't speak for women. I don't speak for trans women. I only speak on behalf of one trans woman, one woman, myself, and I support the autonomy of every woman's body on this earth.
I am a man. When I was born, they called me a woman. My uterus is a man's uterus, and my breasts are a man's breasts. My body is a man's body. This is my body, not yours. No child shall this body bear. I never asked for this wound, and I never wanted it either. I don't need you to tell me if I have a right to choose. I've died monthly for this right. I've paid in blood and fear and pain.
1981. I was fresh out of nursing school, and my first nursing job in Chicago found me terrifying, having just been diagnosed as HIV positive. Things got even scarier when I started hearing rumors at work about government plans to establish a list of people infected with AIDS, an ID card, talk of tattooing those infected. When a female nurse pointed out how the government was trying to control our HIV bodies, much the same as the way they controlled female bodies from the days of slavery, I heard her loud and clear. Looking back, the AIDS crisis bonded gay men and lesbian women. Back in the 80s, some of my co-worker nurses who happened to be lesbians stepped up. They embraced and treated with compassion those unfortunates with death sentences whom other nurses wouldn't touch. The camaraderie was amazing, and it spread through other facets of the gay community. It was a rare and beautiful event arising from an otherwise horrific nightmare. Today, I see a movement, including this administration, trying to control everything, especially women, gays, and people of color. Take the new abortion laws already in place in Alabama, Georgia, Missouri, Ohio, Arkansas, Indiana, Mississippi, Utah, North Dakota, Tennessee. Abortions would be called felonies. The doctors who perform abortions could face up to 99 years in prison. Women who perform self-abortions could be facing murder charges. The black communities are threatened by trigger-happy police officers if they think the cell phone in the black man's hand is a gun.
Y'all, this shit is real. It's being remixed with a different kind of technology, unearthlying in every way. The Vision Quest this time around requires going way deeper than the so-called Founding Fathers Constitution. 3/5 will never equal 5/5 to complete this mother's wholeness. The nightmare of being branded, carved, erased, and buried away lingers. Today, she gets to bear many titles, but the most significant one that appears to be missing in action is that which describes her power, her resilience, and her beauty.
What's happening in our country terrifies me. Women's rights slipping away like sand through our fingers. My 25-year-old daughters Do they realize how quickly they could lose all we fought for? We women must control our own bodies, and we understand our grave responsibilities. We care about life. Will the men, gay, straight, and neither, who love women be our allies?
Any minority or community considered to be on the fringes of society is threatened, to be disregarded and abandoned. That's why the woman in me will stand and fight with and for all women and their undeniable right to choose.
Today, I want the right to choose to not have children, not to build the race, not to be enslaved to that idea any more than to the system that still enslaves us.
This is my body, not yours. If there is no softer way, I will choose to die. No child shall this body bear.
When I was young, was there a woman inside me struggling to get out, as the cliche goes? Hell no. I believe I was a woman all along who was misdiagnosed male at birth and played at male drag until I came to accept myself at age 44 as the woman I always knew myself to be. And I put the I back in Jessie.
My name is Sherry. I know I'm a woman when I feel shame about being in a woman's body. But the woman inside me is red hot with righteous anger, explosive as Pele, and ready to burn the patriarchy down.
I am a man, but when I was born, they called me a woman. Heirloom expectations, they never fit. I never asked to be a man. I never asked to be a woman. I am who I am. This is my body, not yours. My name is Morgan Moves Around.
I'm a woman when I'm tender like Halloween, dripping like broken candy on the sidewalk, in the hottest days in the summer, in the gravel and in the mud. I'm Dominique.
I'm Dave. I am a woman when the sun envelops my shirtless torso when I'm hiking Griffith Park. The yellow dust coating my hair and chest, blood throbbing through my temples, a light breeze kissing my neck. This is my secret spot, secluded and dark, towering trees protecting me, whispering as I lie upon a rock, hidden by succulents. I'm all alone, but not really.
And I am a woman when I am witness and witnessed. Stroking, caressing, penetrating, sucking, licking, destroying, creating, dancing, and loving you in my mirror. I'm a woman when my cry allows the smell deep inside to reverberate into the fruit of my choice, naked in the dark and light. Wanda Lee.
I'm Robin. I am a woman when I read in the couch under blankets in a long skirt, when I clock every person on the bus before I choose my seat, when her glance dissolves me.
I am a woman when a woman calls me girlfriend. Otherwise, I'm Joe.
I'm Danielle. I'm a woman when I sweat, when I cry, when I bleed, and when I love.
A woman who needs gentle love is powerful love. I'm Jim.
I am a woman when I realize how fortunate I am not to be a man, because I would have wasted more than half my life just trying to get laid. I'm Jen.
I'm Jim. The woman inside me loves spending time with my best girlfriends, Lucy and Ethel, Mary and Rhoda, Maud, Blanche, and Rose, and Dorothy, and my BFF, Miss Weasel.
It was a woman who taught me that Harvey's Bristol Cream Sherry, with its deep burgundy hue, both stains and perfumes lips in a most exquisite way. Bonnie Raitt.
The woman inside me wants to feel it all, to feel the fullness, to savor the delicious moments, and laugh forever. To be bold, to stand with women around the country, around the world, to stand for ourselves, for each other.
My name is Lucia. I am a woman when I'm baking bread, rolling with the rhythm of the kneading, bonding with the yeast, sending forth my chi into dull, wondering how things will turn out, trusting that we all rise.